This episode of the Better 2 podcast is brought to you by Kitty Mystic and DM Needham, author of My Days with the Dark Muse, as well as Love is Worth Waiting For. Hi, gang. Donna here. Thanks for tuning into the Better 2 podcast. Today's guest is Kingsley. Kingsley takes us on a musical journey of how she is one of 7 siblings who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago and found herself in Portland and created a life that she couldn't imagine. But her journey doesn't end there. While she's always wanted to move to LA, she now finds herself heading across the sea to London. Hi, Kingsley. How are you doing today?
I'm so wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I am very good. So looking at your bio stats, you are from outside of Chicago originally.
Correct? I am. Yeah. It's easier to tell people that, but I'm from Plainfield. Yeah. Plainfield.
I live in Harvard, so I completely understand.
It's easy. Just outside of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you say Illinois, people think anyway, it's Chicago.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Because, then I have to be like, it's a farm town. And I grew up as a development and we tipped cows as our high school prank. Like people like you.
Chicago and cows. Well, the middle of my town, we have a cow statue. We have the longest running festival in Illinois called Milk Days.
Oh, that's awesome. It's weird things like that I'm like, I love Illinois. It's
like
called Milk Days.
And we're supposed to be the dairy capital of the world, but other than the cow and the town and the milk festival, I really don't think we are. But
yeah, that's awesome though. Maybe at one point, but not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Yeah, no. So anyway, but you went to another place that I actually have visited, and it's a great town, which is Portland.
Yeah, so I'm currently living in Portland right now, and not today. It's very rainy and crappy, but I really like it here.
Are the winters a little bit better?
No, so it's like pick and choose your fighter type of a thing. I do not enjoy negative degrees, so Chicago was not for me. But here you won't see the sun for 2 weeks, so it's kind of like, which one can you handle?
Yeah,
Chicago, it's freezing, but you still see the sun reflecting off the snow, blinding your eyes.
Nothing like a morning drive with the sun reflecting off the snow.
Your tears just freezing because they don't fall down.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I have to say, this winter it was really mild, comparatively speaking. I think we had one or two really bad days, but
yeah, my parents have even said that like you would come back and you'd be just fine this year, and I was like, would I be? Why?
Just wait till next year. It may be -40 below wind chill again.
Right.
Anyway, so what made you decide that Portland was your home besides the winter weather?
Yeah, I actually knew nothing about Portland. My ex, I'm going to say, tricked me to move here, but I ended up tricking myself. He moved here while we were dating and we were long distance, and I was just about to graduate college and move to LA after my summer. And he was like, why don't you move to Portland? And then you can move to LA. It's closer, it's easier. And I'm like, okay, well, if I do that, I have to have a music job. Like, I cannot just move there to move there. And I have to live rent free because my college town, the way you pay, my whole summer would have been free rent. Because they make you pay 3 months ahead. It's this college thing. So he said, okay. And so I moved there rent free, and I ended up getting a music job a week later. And I still work for that company because they're incredible. And yeah, we broke up later that year and I didn't move. I just kind of stayed, and I was like, I'm going to figure out the music industry a little bit better. Then I'm going to move to LA. And it was 6 years. And now I'm moving, but I'm not moving to LA. I'm moving to London. So my whole life has been skewed to all the
Wow,
things.
That's so okay, before we go further. They always say some people come into our lives for a reason and a season. And obviously he if nothing else, you were meant to be in Portland.
Yes.
So that's a blessing there. Now, why? Okay, we have LA and then we have London, which are totally different. So what made you choose London?
And I hope I get to LA. I hope I do live there sometime in my life, because my 18-year-old self is probably kicking we wanted LA. When you learn more about the music industry, and especially now with the digital era, I think I knew everything for LA to be 90s based, right? You move there, you get a record deal, and it is so far from that. And now that I know more about touring and connecting easier, just America, it's pretty hard. And so I've done a couple tours, and they are so much longer because it's so many hours in between. Just America's so big, and it's so much more money. And I toured with like my full band, and I toured with just my guitarist, and each time I think I lost $1,000.
Yeah.
It just like, and that's on me of like, I got to make sure they eat from my pocket because this is my dream. And so when I've been talking about like touring and what I want to do, I ended up having just like these amazing opportunities with three really great artists that are in the UK, but they tour here. One of them is SG Lewis. He just played Coachella a couple of days ago. And I was talking to his tour manager specifically about like what I wanted to do. And I opened up for him at a show a couple of years ago. And was planning on moving to London for like 6 months right before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit. And now I'm like, it's not going to be 6 months. I'm just going to go. I'm going to get my butt up and go. And so far with everything that's happened, my flight is on September 12th. One of my very good friends I call them my like super fan family. They bought my ticket as a birthday present for me. Nice. I ended up finding a touring company that's there. I ended up finding a new PR company that's there that is going to like help me with like Europeans. Like there's just so many things. And even just like how I got this interview with like Core, they've introduced me to so many people that are like across the sea. So it's just been a lot of things that I've like really turned over in my mind that if it's meant to be, so your circle will just keep growing and connecting. And yeah, so now London, I hope I get to LA one day.
Oh, that's exactly, I mean, what you're describing is perfect manifestation of creating what you want. And when I was reading through your notes last night, it reminded me of somebody that had been on the show before. He was originally from Michigan, and he went down to Georgia to do some work, and then went back to Michigan, and then he went to Brazil. And he always wanted to sing, but it's like in America, he had no shot. So he started making beats and started producing other people and everything else. But people are liking his stuff in Brazil. And so he's finding his own niche there, where in America, it just wasn't. And they always, back in the 80s, watching musicians and stuff, they're always like talking about how hard it was to crack the United States.
Yeah. And still it's such gatekeepers. And even in the digital era, it's still very gate kept. The algorithm is fun, but who's paying for the algorithm?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the algorithm, that's the thing is if you can hit the algorithm, great. But guess what? It's going to change tomorrow. So
so buckle up.
Yeah, you're in for a wild ride. Yeah. So now you're going to go over to England. And how long do you plan on staying there? I mean, is that just going to be an indefinite thing as long as you can keep your work visa going?
Yeah, one-way ticket, work visa. And even they do like travel. So like you don't tell anyone I said this, but like you can get around work visa. So if your work visa expires and you're waiting for it to get renewed or whatever, if you go stay in another place for a couple weeks, it's like a vacation, like 3 weeks of time. Some places let you stay 4 weeks of time, and then your visa will come in and you go back. So you don't ever have to come back to America if you don't want to.
Well, I mean, the nice thing, because I've done some research, the nice thing is where you're at, you can go over to Paris if you want. You can go to Gibraltar if you want. You can go to Ibiza if you want. So there's all these other options for you to see so many other places.
Yeah. Yeah.
And different cultures and different, just everything different where, yes, LA is totally different than Portland and Chicago is totally different than Portland, but it's not the same.
It's not, I think that's the thing when you learn more about the music industry and just more about what your ability is in the music industry. You'll see that like the glitter and glitz of LA is far from what it used to be.
Well, that's with a lot of things. I mean, even the entertainment industry. I mean, back in the 90s, Chicago had a big surge of making movies here. And we still kind of have that Hollywood feel here. So, and then Georgia's got their own thing. So, I mean, everything has kind of been pulled out and spread out.
Well, why not do it everywhere in the world? Why just in LA?
Exactly. So, and I mean, I hate to say it, I have thoughts of moving to LA. I have always wanted to go to LA myself. So I understand. It's always one of those things where it's like, it's a dream and you want to follow it. But sometimes our dreams take us different directions. In London, yeah. I mean, that's one place I've wanted to visit. And it's like for my birthday, for my 52nd birthday, I'm like, I'm getting my passport. And of course we had the lockdown and
yeah, that's okay. It just means later. So next
exactly.
year.
It means if somebody were to say, hey, you want to go on the spur of the moment, I can go, okay, let's go. Yeah. If I had that much money, but that's
actually surprisingly, and I'm saying this surprisingly, from Chicago, the flight, so off season in September, it was literally $500. And I thought it was going to be more than that.
Wow.
But it was surprising.
But they're also saying, I think on the news, that airline flights are going to be going up soon.
Oh, yeah.
Because of jet fuel, of course. But anyway,
yeah. So I digress.
let's get into, why did you become a singer?
Yeah. It's so cliche to do the like, it always felt like home type of thing. But it really, truly, I think when you really get into your purpose and individuals that have it, or individuals that are searching for it really know that thing of like, I love the metaphor of like the surfer that's like inside of the wave, that it's like only they can describe it. Like you have to be inside of the wave to feel that feeling. But really just like singing has always felt like that to me, that like everything could be chaotic and going wrong and everything feels so centered here. And I had felt that from a very young age and held on tight to it. And I have not let go, But
you see, it goes back to what you were saying about the surfer, but it goes to, you stayed on your path, you've stayed with your passion, and therefore these other doors are opening up. You didn't stray. And I think if you are true, no matter how, people are like, well, but that's so awful that you went through that. But if you didn't go through that, you wouldn't have the pain to write about in your music. You wouldn't have the pain to use those life events to make you humble.
Yeah. There's so much more. I think I'm super spiritual, and Easter just passed. And I was listening to a great sermon that was just talking about like, you look at your garden and you're trying to plant all of these flowers. Like, what do you know as a gardener? You don't know much. And you're trying to grow in conditions that are not meant to grow. And what if you allowed other people to grow your garden? What if you allowed education and I think about that in my life, like this lipstick collection, like I don't know anything about makeup. I used to shop at Walmart. Okay. I know their makeup. I know they do buy one, go, and makeup has nothing to do with music in a sense. It's just been so many times that I want to move to LA and I'm going to get signed. And what garden I would have built for myself had I have let, myself be led that way. And now it's just, I feel so fruitful, and everything that I do can be related back to my one true passion. If I allow myself to think of it, that's how we're in this interview today, that there's just so many things that my garden is just so full and so blissful because I've allowed myself to have it. And it's still within my purpose, but just way more than what I thought my purpose could be.
Right. And I mean, one thing about flowers, I've been amused, and I always take it as some kind of sign that I'm on the right path, is like one day I was coming home and there was a petunia growing up in the crack of the driveway. There's no way it could have been there for any other reason, or a pansy. And it's like maybe a bird dropped the seedling or something, but it doesn't matter. However it got there, it's impossible for it to be impossible.
Yeah.
But sometimes the impossible can actually be done.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a Community quote too, from the TV show. And he was talking about the blade of grass that grew in the concrete from his prison cell, the scientist, the teacher. Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing. If you actually look at how, and this is a little bit more airy-fairy, I guess, but if you look at like an abandoned building, like something that you see these videos on YouTube and stuff of all these abandoned places and how nature reclaims them, how it gets reclaimed, and man does not have to do anything. It's just there and nature takes over again. So what is meant to be will be. So yeah, we get all philosophical here. Anyway. So let's go to the makeup line. That obviously, I know it ties in with your music, but that had to be kind of a shock when somebody came up to you and said, hey, do you want to do this?
Yeah, so it was like a really weird, and I'm giving so much homage to Catherine of Event Cosmetics because without her vision, oh my gosh. And it came about because I was releasing this album. I had raised all this money for my Kickstarter in February. Then COVID happened in March. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
do I put out this out? Like, I have the money now. For the
Yeah.
first time, I have all the funds. It never happens. And so when we finished producing my album, I was like, wow, I raised $5,000. I spent $5,000. This album is $10,000. Like, I don't want to just put this, I don't want to just put it out. It doesn't feel good to me. Should I wait? How long should I wait?
Yeah.
And so talking with Kathy, she was like, well, when you put your album out, we'll just put a lipstick with it. We'll put one of my lipsticks. That way I'm selling. You've got something fun. It's new. No one's doing it. And I'm like, that's an incredible idea. Let's do that. We spent all summer long just getting to know each other. She's listening to the album. One lipstick turned into three. And so each single that I released was released with a lipstick that embodied the single. And then that spiraled out that we were like, well, what about people who don't wear lipsticks? So we released a lip scrub. And then we're like, what about people who don't want to do that, are lazy? So we released a vitamin E stick that looks like a chapstick. And we have two more products coming out Mother's Day weekend. And it's just been really incredible for me to learn about skin and really get more comfortable. Like, I hated my lips in high school. Now they're cool. Everybody gets lip filters. I think that's amazing. But I really had to like rediscover what confidence looked like and how, if I'm going to teach other people how to do it, how I do it to myself. And it's just this incredible moment. I will go to demos with Kathy and I will watch her put makeup on people and put my lipstick and just see people light up and just, you could just feel blissful and feel this sensational feeling that just like, I'm like, man, my product did that. That's really awesome. It's like the music did it. I get this feeling so many times now, like with the products, with the music. And now people will listen to my music while they're pre-gaming, putting on the lipstick. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is what this product was supposed to do. And again, I couldn't have imagined it to be cooler than what it already is. And most people, when they add product, they're usually famous and they're usually repping a brand. And so this is really cool for me to be in the community with this incredible Black-owned makeup company here in Portland, which is like a hard thing to happen. Like, she's Black-owned and she's in Portland, and just share her story and all the amazing things. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, once again, it's going against the odds and you're kind of doing it differently because how many singers get their own perfume line? How many singers have their own makeup line now? And it's like, you're doing it on your own terms. And that's a big thing because let's be honest, a lot of times in the music industry, especially if you get that contract, you're owned. You have no personal say in what you look like, who you're going to be. That's all kind of managed. And a lot of people are like, oh, no, that's not. I don't know if it's as managed as much as it used to be, but there's still a certain amount of management to it.
Yep.
And so this way you get to call the shots, you get to create what you want. And it's not just your name being slapped on a label.
Exactly. And it really has taught me so much about branding. And I wear the one is my favorite. It's called Therapy. It's a liquid black matte. It's like my signature look now. Everyone knows I'm wearing Therapy. Like, you don't have money. It's $29. It's cheaper than Therapy. So I've really learned about like branding and iconic. And I think I had really valued the iconicness of like, Amy Winehouse with her wing, Madonna, like there are these things. And now I can see why, that type of branding really goes a long way. And I've learned to embrace it and really build it into my collection.
Well, if you look at like Lady Gaga, initially, Lady Gaga, the perfume came out and she basically balked that she did not have anything to do with this. She didn't want to do it. And now she's created her own makeup line. Yeah. So you're following along those lines of taking your power and owning it. Yeah. That's what Madonna did too. Madonna owned herself. And you go into partnership with who you want to go into partnership with.
Yep. And who you value. And just, it's harder to have scandals when you invest in the people that are around you instead of the opposite way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when the last thing you need, I know they say there's no such thing as bad press, But with cancel culture, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Not the case at all. So this is, the second album you put out. You said you actually have a new record coming out, a live demo, your live recording coming in what, 2 weeks, you said?
I'm recording it in 2 days, like
2 days.
live studio audience for Crying on Holidays acoustic. So my sophomore album, but just stripped down, 3 vocal parts, guitar, and some light drums, very light drums.
So like an unplugged.
Very much an unplugged, very MTV unplugged. Yeah.
Make it a thing again. And I want to say, you were saying about Amy Winehouse, there is a little bit of that vibe to your music.
I've gotten that a lot. And I think it's just the raspiness in the way that I phrase my words that I can hear. And I cover Valerie, and so many people be like, I couldn't think of who you sounded like, and then you sang Valerie, and I'm like, yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah. So I have that project, and the reason why I started doing that was actually my first album that came out, I Am Because I Am, in 2018. When it was out, I felt like I had spent so much time on it, but I was still a newbie. And I got this random opportunity to open up for SG Lewis. And so my DJ was like, we should remix all of your songs to kind of like fit his like DJ-esque. And I'm like, let's do it. So we remixed 6 songs for my I Am Because I Am album. And we performed it. And everyone was like, where can we get this version? And I was like, oh, it's not out yet. We're going to put it out soon. And so we put it out, and it's called I Am Because I Dance. So we had the regular pop version and now this EDM SG Lewis-esque. And then I was doing winery shows, and I would take these same I Am Because I Am songs and play them acoustically. And people like, where can I get that version? I'm like, soon. And so I released I Am Because I Feel. And so I had this album that was literally dressed up and dressed down. And I was like, I'm going to do this forever. So with Crying on Holidays, the next one will be called Still Crying, which is the acoustic version. And then sometime later this year, I'll release the remixes, which will be all the songs literally EDM'd up, and that way I can spend 2 to 3 years promoting one album instead of 1 year. And I don't know where I've learned that from. I attribute just myself of being like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. And it's been a really great marketing tool for my first project that I know it will be for this second album. So, yeah.
I mean, for me, I remember, when something came out in the 80s, yes, I'm an 80s teen and 20. And yeah, it was like the single would come out, and then you're going to go get the 12-inch. You're going to get your dance music. Yep. Because that was the way it was. And I still have my vinyl, which from back in the day. And it's like, you wanted to hear those different mixes, because while the song is great, the remix was even better.
Yeah.
And so if you can get that much mileage out of one record, and you spent that 10 grand, but if you're able to play a winery show and then somebody says, oh, I really like that, guess what? I have a CD. You can
have just all those. And it's been cool. Like some people only like my acoustic stuff. Some people only like my dance stuff. Some people only like the studio version. That's okay by me. Right. Okay. As long as you like it.
if your music's getting out to different people in different styles, that actually shows the versatility of you as an artist. And that's major, because you're crossing the board instead of just being in this little niche. So that's pretty incredible.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what is the biggest gig you've ever played?
Oh man. Well, yeah, the SG Lewis one was pretty big. It was sold out, and a week before the show they added support. Like they didn't even need to. They could have did an evening with him. He could have, and that was pretty cool. That was pretty nerve-wracking for me because it was very new. I have a song with Sony. They did this 20th anniversary for Motown where they did the remixes. So I got to remix Keep Me Hanging On. And I performed that like in Vegas in January of 2020, so right before COVID. And that was a pretty big, I like forgot the words. How do you forget the words?
It's funny because my friend was doing that song for an audition, and I knew the song because Kim Wilde had done a remix of it, and she forgot the whole thing. And I'm like singing to her so she would hear the words. It was like, don't worry, you're not the only one.
It's so many repeats. Yeah. That was a pretty big deal. I've gotten to play Sold Out Music Festival. I've gotten to drive 12 hours to play a festival in San Francisco. I can't say there's one that I've been like, this is incredible. This is, because every time I get the opportunity to do something, it's really incredible. And I can't believe people like me enough to want to have me perform.
Believe in yourself there. So,
well, I believe it, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, I'm here.
The dream is coming true. You've arrived.
I'm sitting backstage waiting to play. It's pretty cool.
That's how it goes, though. And you keep growing and growing and growing. So I want to go back to, so you taught yourself how to play guitar and piano around 8. Yeah. And then you started a family band with your 2 sisters.
Yeah, we really thought we were going to be the next Jackson 3. Really
or
thought.
The Jonas Brothers as the
Jonas Brothers was our thing. Yeah. We thought we'd be married to them as well. So we thought we'd be like sister wife band, because that makes sense.
Yeah, of course, because that's how naturally life would progress, that you guys would meet, the 3 of you. Yes, that's exactly how it all play out. I understand. Keeping it all in the family, and that way you don't have to fight about whose in-laws you're going to go to.
Right? Christmas will be lit.
A triple wedding, all the grand plans. So how much do you have any of these performances hidden on audio, and your parents or siblings have threatened to release them?
They're on YouTube. Oh. They're free for the internet. I do so much embarrassing stuff in my life. I don't think anything. I think I literally ripped my pants like a week ago. Like, nothing really embarrasses me anymore, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, no, they are on the internet. I think there was only one video that I fought my sister to take down because I didn't blend in my eyeshadow and it was just blue. And I was like, we can't have this. We can't have this. I can't even focus on the music. Looking at it.
Not when you're a makeup person, you really can't.
She's come a long way.
Well, you could say it that way. Look how far she's come.
If Kingsley can do it, so can you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really, and that's where my name Kingsley came from, because I started this band with my siblings, and my mom was like, you don't have to pick your names. You can pick whatever you want. And we're downstairs, we're Googling, we're searching names. And my sister Dom picks Phoenix, and my sister Bree picks Sage, and I picked Kingsley. And we were this heart-filled band, and it was like these pseudo people that we got to embody and become. And it was very much make-believe, but something that, again, I don't know, when it feels right, I just kind of cling to it. And I really loved Kingsley's confidence in places that I didn't feel very confident. And I really loved the idea of letting go of myself and becoming something when you go onto stage. And I have done that for as long as I could, probably up until COVID, when I was like, all right, I got to really be confident in my personal life now. I'm really getting tired of putting on a hat and coming back off the stage. But yeah, I'm very thankful for my sisters. They did not want to practice nearly as much as the Jonas Brothers. So that's why we didn't make it, so that's all right.
But, the one thing you were talking about is going up on stage and putting on a persona. The fact of the matter is, no matter how much you integrate your personality, when you are in the public eye, you have to put on that persona, because if you have a really bad day and something awful has happened and you can't cancel the show, yep, you still have to go on there and be smiling and doing your job.
Yeah. And I think that can go into your personal life too. And I think it's taught me how to move quicker through, not even quicker through emotions in a way that I don't feel them, but quicker through emotions of you can decide if your day is going to be good or not. And especially if I have a performance later, I get to be like, okay, feelings, what you want to do now? You want to linger, or you want to. And even just moments that it would fuckle my whole day, getting a parking ticket and it doesn't. I'm just like, all right, whatever. I just spent $300 at the DMV, and I was telling my best friend, I'm like, but whatever, it happened. I got my stickers. All right, let's move forward, Yeah. So I think that Kingsley has really taught me in my personal life that at the end of the day, if you want to have a good day, or if you want to be whatever, you got to get through it to make it happen.
Let me ask you this. So if you ever got to the point where you were like Rihanna, could you handle that? Do you think you could handle the fame?
Yes, because 1, that's my goal in life. And 2, I used to practice, and this is how I know, because what kid does this? I used to practice my thank you speech, my Grammy speech, but I practiced taking it out of my dress so that I wouldn't be shaking when I like read it. Like, yeah, absolutely. There's been
next
so many
level
moments in my life that I'm like, why am I practicing this? But yeah, no, I really strive. Rihanna, Beyonce are like one of my favorite people to look up to. That's like, at the end of the day, we got shit to get done. That's it.
Yeah.
We got to get it done. And yeah, that type of caliber is where I want to be in life. And that's the goal. So.
Well, the thing is, some people would say that you doing that, practicing taking that out, that's all creating it. You're creating your reality, a future
right, but
reality.
I was like 8. Why was I like, you know what? Let me do this.
But didn't Beyonce do something very similar with award shows and stuff?
Yes. And Adrienne, she was a cheater girl. She talked about how her friends used to they would put the subtitles up and they would pretend to be teleprompters. And so when she became, was she on The View? No. What show was she on? I can't even remember the
Talk,
TV show.
The View,
It just got canceled. It was right. It just got canceled. But she was literally like, people would be like, you're so good at reading. And she's like, yeah, because as a kid, I used to play a game called Read the Cat on the Screen. Like, what kid does that?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think that we really realize what we start creating as kids. We don't. But we have a lot of power and a lot of imagination at that time to do it. Yeah. And we're not so stuck in the daily grind and the minutia of living life.
And we don't really question our imagination. It's just fun to us.
Yeah.
So I think now if I'm like practicing my speech, I'm like, what am I doing?
Just call it the power of manifestation now. That's the adult way to say it.
That part.
So I wanna talk to you about some of your lyrics. And one of the songs I really liked was All of Me. I liked your song. I mean, I was kind of bebopping around in the chair, dancing to it. Good bass line. So what was the inspiration for it?
Yeah, All Me, which is the deep liquid matte lipstick, which just embodies this regalness when you step outside of a relationship and you've had a person tell you like, it's me, like I'm the reason why we can't be together, but like you're really looking at it at a different lens and you're asking yourself, is it really you or is it really me? Because I'm looking at the start and the middle and the end, and I can see the blame is both of us. And I wrote that with All Me. It feels like it's all me. So tell me, who's taking the blame on this song?
Well, and I think that's very mature, because most people, even in their 50s, will sit there and say, oh, it's all the other person. No, it's a two-way street.
It's two-way, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm an Aries, so like sometimes it's my fault. Well, very well.
I'm a Libra, so it's all about balance and all about trying to go, oh, no, I'll take a lot more responsibility than I should because I want to make you happy. At least that was the old me, but, that's still, Libras are people pleasers. What can I say?
Yeah.
But, the thing about Aries is you guys are very fiery and you make things happen. I have a lot of Aries friends. I
am surrounded by water. I'm a little too fiery, so I need people to be like, cool down, bring it here. You're hot.
Yeah. So, and of course we have therapy, which, it's funny because I don't know where you fall on this, but I'll say it. I read cards, and today's card was undermining. It was the Seven of Swords. It was all about undermining. That's the card for tomorrow. And it's funny because, the first one of the lines in therapy that really stood out to me was, now my mind's my own worst enemy. And I think that is so true for most of us because we've let so much garbage from other people, whether it be teachers, parents, siblings, friends, get in our head.
Yep. Speak on it.
And then we're sitting there going, okay, so how do you unscrew your head?
Yeah. I joke, I call myself a Christian Buddhist witch because I was introduced to Christianity, then Buddhism, then witch. So like I'm all of them. I think they're all really dope. I think all of them have some name. Then you find your thing. And if 10 years from now I'm introduced to something else, that'll be added to the bracket. So yes, I'm a big card reader. I love reading cards, except for when they give me the ones that I don't want. Then I have to like shuffle the deck and be like, I need to sit with that for a moment. Thank you for giving me that. But therapy, I wrote when I went to therapy. And so I originally went to therapy because my ex-partner now, we were together for 4 years, which I wrote this album, released the album, and we stayed together a year later. And I'm like, did I not listen to the words? None of them. Hard-headed. And so when I went to therapy, it was really to like figure out, because we had so much chaos. I had never been in love before. My parents are not a great example, bless their hearts. So I went to therapy to like really learn how to be a partner. I'd never been a partner before. And as I unraveled all of this stuff with him, it really unraveled a lot of reasons to why I never dated before and why I wasn't in love. And really this thing of like, now my mind's my worst enemy is really a reflection. Like you said, you get fed so much from other people that your thoughts aren't even your own.
Right. And
so going to therapy, slowly unraveling all of these things and really teaching yourself to think for yourself, to feel for yourself, and to stand up for yourself is really incredible. And at the end of that song, one of my lyrics is like, call me crazy, I guess I'm crazy. Because when you start to think for yourself and you don't align with what the people feed you, you're like, call me crazy, I guess I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right.
You suddenly find that people that have been lifelong friends are no longer your friends because you're standing on your own and you're standing in your truth. It's not the person that they're used to.
Yep. Which is just incredible. And I'm slowly finding gratitude for that partner. Like you said, the guy who brought me here and to this partner, I'm slowly finding gratitude because of him, there's so much growth that I had to do. And then I was willing to do it, you know?
And one thing that, let's go back to the mind therapy thing here too, is we also have to learn to forgive ourselves for the choices we've made. And that's another hard thing. It's like after you unscrew your head, then you have to forgive yourself and treat yourself better with grace.
Yeah. There's an incredible meditation that I always go back to. It's the Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian meditation for forgiveness. If you literally type in that in YouTube, there will be so many. I personally like the one that Master Shiri Akashina does. And you repeat to yourself, I'm sorry, thank you, please forgive me, and I love you. And, what a way to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I thank you for going through that, and I love you.
Because so many times in our lives, we're not taught. Our parents will tell us they love us. Okay, that's fine. But that's still not always, depending on how you grew up, that's not always the truth. And so then you're searching for love from outside of you. And so then we make these choices. We bring these people into our lives, whether it be
feels like love, friends, and
it's like yeah. It feels like love because that's what we thought love was. That's because we weren't taught how to partner. I hate to say it, school teaches us some wonderful things. They teach us how to read. They teach us how to write. They teach us math. They teach us all these skills, but then they don't teach us how to live. They don't teach us how to cope with stress. They don't teach us how to function as an adult. I can't tell you how many people I've seen make memes about, man, it would be nice if they would have showed me how to balance a checkbook and do taxes or deal with credit card. And then you got the stress factor. If you took the stress factor out, if you could teach kids how to meditate and be calmer, wow, maybe we wouldn't have so many gun issues we do. And I'm not going to get into that, but it's just the fact of if we were calmer people, we all might be functioning better.
And not even calmer, but just knew how to regulate what our emotions were saying. Because I literally, and I do this a lot to myself when I get upset and angry, I ask myself, like, what is my anger saying to me? Because it's a bigger thing. Are you mad about that? Like, what is your anger saying to you? And questions I had to learn to ask myself. And I think meditation is a really good way, not even just to like bring yourself down here and like breathe, but also like, what is this feeling telling you? Is this a feeling that comes up every day? Is this a feeling that comes up in this situation? Like let's dissect this feeling. Where do you feel the feeling?
Well, and the thing is too, is especially when you're in a partnership, my husband, when he was still with us, if he got mad because he was frustrated with himself, he'd be like, MF, da, 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 da. And I'd be like, I go in the kitchen, I'm like, are you okay? He's like, is your name MF? As a younger person, I would have just went off on him. As an older person in my second marriage, I'm like, I'm just going to go away. I'll come back in about a half hour. Yeah. And so I did. And I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, that wasn't about you. It was about me. And that's the thing. I think we get angry at ourselves, but we lash out and
on people.
And the problem is we're so easy to react. We react so easily. So I think you going forward though, I mean, you're seeming to be in a good place and on solid ground. And that's a good thing.
Thank you. It's I'm very thankful to COVID. I know there was a lot of loss and a lot of pain that COVID has caused. And in the lieu of all of that, I had the ability to slow down for the first time in my life and sit with myself that I just never allowed myself to do. And when there was literally nothing happening in the world, I was like, I'm not going to get strong because I know I'm not fit. I'm not going to the gym. Good for everybody else. I'm glad you guys did that. But I will get mentally stronger. And I got to just go back to my meditation practice, but really do it in a different way. I wasn't 18 anymore studying in a temple. I'm
Yeah.
28, studying in my studio. And I attribute everything that has happened in such a positive way, specifically to COVID, because I've just learned so much about how to love deeper, how to give more freely, and even just how to be kinder in the world in ways that I never knew that I was not doing until I had a moment to slow down.
And that was the benefit of COVID, that
Yeah,
we were forced to slow down. Which, let's go to, when I was looking at some of your lyrics for I'm Fine, it's like you're really harsh on yourself in these lyrics, because it's like, I was foolish, I was stupid, guess I gave into your lying. I mean, sometimes when we're in a relationship, you are so desperate to believe the other person is, because you want that person, you don't want to lose that person. So you convince yourself that reality is not really reality.
yeah, I think I'm fine was this thing of saying to my, like, really the chorus is like, I don't need you. I don't need your loving. I don't. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I've told myself that, but now I'm telling myself the opposite, that I'll be fine. And more of the sense I love that women are like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And in reality, it really is fine. We just had to say it out loud. Um, and it was a big reflection on myself of the relationship of like all that's the thing when you take blame of what you've allowed a person to do, it's so much easier to set boundaries instead of like, you made me mad. I allowed you to come into the circle like this, and I am no longer allowing you to come into the circle like this. You can no longer make me mad if you can no longer enter the circle, right?
Right.
And I'm fine is a really great reflection of seeing all the things that I did. And at the end of that bridge that like you made me weak, I was begging, kept this bad bitch steady crying, like, who am I to let you cry? So yeah.
Well, I think a lot of times when we get in a relationship, we give over our power. It's so easy. We lose ourselves, we give over our power. You know, well, you have to change your last name when you get married. Why? Why? You know,
Right. I have a cool last name. I'm not changing it.
I never changed my last name. I've been married twice, never changed it. And the first one was kind of upset. The second one's like, well, my dad's going to be mad. I'm like, look, I've been this person for this long of my life. Why am I going to go change it? Not to mention the hassle you got to go through. And now that my husband's gone, I'd have to change it again if I want it. And it just, no, no, it's not worth it. Not worth it at all. So you have more makeup coming for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Is this going to be more lipstick, or is this something?
It's for lipsticks. They're really cool. Can't tell anymore.
Are you going to get it into some eye makeup and stuff?
So I don't know. That doesn't really represent me, and I really want to be authentic when I'm selling, especially because I wear the products, and I don't like lying. I just don't believe in it.
I know.
Hey, but I thought about nail polish. I really like that.
And it matches the lipstick. You can
be like, so.
I mean, you have to be authentic to yourself. And if you're authentic to yourself, then it comes across and people will believe you. And that's one thing I was going to comment in your video is, a couple of your videos, you are very authentic, you're authentic to yourself. And there's not the heavy filter. There's not the overdoneness of anything. You're not making sure that you have the push-up bra on. You're not making sure.
I haven't worn a bra since 2015. I ain't going back.
But you understand where I'm getting at. It's like you were being real with who you are. And that, especially by today's standards, is an amazing gift.
Yeah, I don't I want to attribute to a lot of people in my life that I saw who just didn't give a care in the world. And when I went to college, I went to my first school was a predominantly white 3,000 private school. It was an interesting time. And I really shadowed myself and really tried to do these things and was wearing clothes that weren't really, that's what all the preppy kids wore. So I'm going to wear preppy clothes. And I'm an athlete, so I'm going to wear the Nike and Adidas look. And I don't even like to wear shoes. Okay. As soon as I'm done on the track, I want to take off my shoes. I don't want to wear any,
Mm-hmm.
So when I transferred to NIU, I just agreed with myself that I was like, I'm gonna do me. And if people don't like it, they won't surround themselves. To the point where I have a business degree, I have 2 degrees. I was walking to the business class with no shoes on because it's a spring day in Illinois and like we don't get those. So I'm like earthing
Right.
as I'm walking to class. And the dean of the School of Business calls me over. She's standing outside and she's like, where are your shoes? And I'm like, they're in my dorm. What do you mean, where? I was like, don't you want to touch the ground? Didn't you guys pay for this grass? Don't you want to feel what this grass feels like? So she takes her shoes off and we're talking, and everyone walking into the school is mind blown that I'm like with the dean of the school, just no shoes on, talking, whatever. I go to class, take my class out. She emails me that she wants to give me a scholarship because that was one of the most profound moments in her life. And I've had so many moments like that that I'm like, I'm literally just going to do me because like and if it turns out great, it turns out, and not every time has been great, right? But more times than not, I'm going to be comfortable and I'm going to feel like myself. So
Well, and the key here about the shoes off thing is you're grounding yourself, especially if you're in the grass. You're grounding yourself, you're grounding your energy so you're not all up in your head. So it's an amazing thing. My husband, we used to get, as soon as we get home, I mean, I live in my Birkenstocks. When it's not snowing, I live in my Birkenstocks because I like my sandals. What can I say? And as soon as I get home, I take them off. And my husband would be like, you hillbilly hippie, what the hell?
absolutely.
He's like, why are you doing this? And anytime I would hurt my toe or somebody's like, that's your fault. I'm like, so what?
The
I
earth
like,
will heal me. I'm going to put my foot in the grass.
I like having, I like being barefoot. I
Oh
just,
yeah. I was called hippie so many times and then I moved to Portland and I was like,
yeah,
really?
you can't really say you're a hippie in Portland. You can't, no, not at all. So you're going to go to London. Are there plans to record in London or just tour?
Yeah,
What's
no,
the,
plans to record. So I have a new project that'll probably be released June of 2023. I have 6 songs demoed out, and so when I move, I'll record, mix and master. I have the artwork. We're working on the artwork in a couple weeks. I'm always ahead. I love doing the artwork. I love visuals. It's so out of the element. It's so fun. And start mapping out some music videos. So yeah, I plan on doing a lot in the UK. My heart is open, my hands are open, and whatever happens, happens.
what I'm finding interesting by when I'm talking to musical guests is the whole now with streaming that nobody's looking at albums. They're all looking at, I want a new single. I want a new single. And I had a guest last week, Merchant, or 2 weeks ago, and he released a whole album. He's been releasing singles up and up and up, and now he's released the whole record, the rest of them. And what I admire about you is the fact that you're putting your visual concepts right together. And there's a lot of people that are like, well, I'll get to the video. So I played, because it was his release party on the show, kind of. I ended up making 3 music videos, which was great for me because he's like, oh,
Yeah.
you can go ahead and do this. I'm like, okay. So that was a great experience for me, but it was just one of those things where it's like, it wasn't something I expected. And I know for you guys, it's like, someone like, well, I don't have the time to do the video, and I don't have the money, and I understand all those. But now with an iPhone, you can record a video.
Do you not have the time or money, or do you just not believe that you can do something like that? Is the thing, because you put an album together, you didn't have the time or money for that, But like, there's so much creativeness that comes from music videos that you get to showcase that you don't get to showcase when you're making the music. And one of my favorite people, like Beyonce's visual albums, are insane, and they're so thought out and so much more than what the songs could be if you don't really understand her. If I Was a Boy music video, that music video having Beyonce be the boy and doing all the things, and then cut scene to flip, and it's actually the guy doing it. It blew my mind. I think I was like 13, and I was like, "This is incredible!" Like, this is what music is about. And I've just taken that like, you don't have to do a music video for every single song, but like, you don't have to have a lot of money.
No, I mean, that's why I commend you, because your videos were fun. And I saw a little homage in one of the dance numbers with you and three other people to Single Ladies. I
Yes.
mean, I picked up that vibe. And the fact is, part of the reason I think some musicians most likely don't want to make the music videos, the truth of it is, we have this ideal of perfectionism, and we want, when I noticed when I was making those music videos myself, it's like, I got the lyrics and I'm not putting any money to do this. I'm doing it all free with free video clips. And it's like, I couldn't quite match that. I didn't have the shot I needed, but I made the best of it. And it's like, sometimes you just have to get out of the way of perfection.
Yeah. That's such a great thing to say, that like, in therapy, therapy was the one where I'm frolicking through the forest in a princess dress. That was not how the original idea started. We had this crazy elaborate thing of like moving through houses and all this stuff. And then we like did the budget. We're like, okay, so what can we can shoot outside. We're gonna go outside now. That like they all start off in such a way, but like, whatever your budget has for, make the best of what your budget has for. And most of the time it turns out cooler than what you think, because, you're like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to give it the best I got. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, this is 1995. There's no way you could do this. We made 6 episodes of a half-hour TV sitcom on a budget of $200,000. And that was having sets and having space and everything else. And we didn't get it sold. But the fact of the matter, when all was said and done, we did it. And it was 6 episodes and it was edited. And that was the thing. When you can look back, it may not have been the true vision of what you wanted, but as long as you were able to bring something to life.
Yeah. And you have to get started. You probably learn so much more about that you now take into literally everything. And if you didn't have that opportunity. So I'm fine. I learned so much from therapy and to Omi that like it gets better and better with my music videos, even just like music videos from 2018 to the last 3. I've learned so much about like what I want to see on camera that I wouldn't have done if I wouldn't have just got started with music videos.
Right. And I mean, that's what, when I was talking to Merchant about it, I'm like, well, I'm making 3 music videos. I said, can I borrow some of the other? He like, you can do whatever you want with my music. I'm like, okay. Now, has he signed off and liked it? He hasn't really said much, but it's fine. It's fine. It gave me a creative outlet to do something I had never done before. And it was like, okay, they're up on YouTube. This is fun. And it gave me a whole nother side of creativity. Yeah. So, I mean, I've made book trailers. It's not the same, but so moving to England. What do your parents think about you moving?
Oh, they're really sad. I have 7 siblings. I have a very big big niche. They're very sad. I'm going to move home first. I'm going to move back to Chicago at the beginning of August. I'm going to stay the whole month of August and then leave and try to celebrate all the holidays in that 1 month. But I've always been the kid that like get out is just always gone and doing things. So I don't think they're surprised. I think they probably didn't imagine I would move to England. They thought I was going to move to LA and still be in America. And I'm like, no more America. I want to see the rest of the world.
But maybe there's a future there for other reasons. Maybe there's your new partner. There's so many different things. I know that was a gag. I saw. That's fine. And I know you're not looking for that, but that's the thing. It's like sometimes people are dropped into our lap and we're not even looking.
Yeah. I think my mom will be really excited. She takes her vacation every year to Florida, like good Midwesterns do. And I think she'll be very excited to take a vacation, to the UK instead. So I'm trying to like spin it like that. I'm like, see, you can come visit me. You like to travel.
I had another guest. She lives in England, but she moved to London and she like packed a couple of bags. I think she lived in Scotland at the time. And I think she was either 16 or 18. And because this has been like, about 8 months since I interviewed her, so I don't remember all the facts, but she packed up 3 pieces of luggage and she's like, okay, I'm never coming back. And she never did. And she's a writer over there. She's written for TV shows and stuff. So she's got a career over there, But she, very much like you, she was just like, I'm not going back.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Sometimes that's all we can do.
Yep.
So this has been a delight talking to you. Is there anything that we have not covered that you would like to discuss?
No, we killed it. This was amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Hey, appreciate you.
So Kingsley is following her dreams, a dream that she has created since she was a kid. You know, when she was talking about the fact that she was practicing pulling out, not reading, but pulling out the acceptance speech from her dress. That is a delightful story. And one day I hope I actually get to see her on stage doing that, because that moment will always play in my head, because that's taking manifestation and creation to a whole nother level. We do things throughout our life that we don't realize that we are trying to create. But she has done that. She's created her life. And while she's not going to LA right now, she's still following a dream to go to London. And she's still pursuing her musical passion. And that's the thing. Sometimes when we are pursuing a dream, we have to step into the flow to see where we're going to go. Sometimes we don't necessarily see everything. You know, we may see point A, and we may see point B, and we may see point Z, but we don't see a whole bunch in between. And the thing is, we want to go to Z from A, but we have to take those small steps. So while she went from Chicago to Portland and sometimes to LA for business, but she didn't move there. Now she's moving there. You know, she's moving to London. But you never know where London's going to lead. London could be a permanent thing, or London could lead her back to LA. Things are changing, though, as we said. And the music industry has changed. And, you know, if she can conquer England, who knows where else in the world she may conquer. So I hope you guys check out her makeup. I hope you guys check out her music. And I hope she comes back on the show, because she was delightful. And I am really interested in following her journey. So on that note, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and would like to reach out to the podcast, you can send me an email at Donna, DAUNA, at better2podcast.com. That's Donna at better2podcast.com. And if you have missed an episode and would like to catch up, you can also find our episodes at better2podcast.com or any place where you listen to your podcast. If you go to the actual website, you can find our social media links and follow us there. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the show as always. Like I said, I think Kingsley's great, and I enjoyed talking to her. So I hope you guys enjoy your day, weekend, evening, whenever you choose to listen to the podcast, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. The Better 2 podcast is mixed, edited, and produced by Rich Zai of Third Ear Audio Productions.